Hey, what if I told you that the next new producer you hire will either increase your agency value by $3 million in the next 5 years, or cost you $150,000 and set you back 2 years? And that outcome is mostly decided in the first 60 days. Not by their talent, not by their hustle, but by your onboarding system. And here's what nobody wants to admit. Most agencies don't have an onboarding system. They have a hope strategy. They hope the producer figures it out. They hope product training is enough. They hope that the right person will just make it happen. But hope is not a strategy. And it's not just a $150,000 gamble, it's a $3 million gamble. Because you're either going to lose $150K with a failed attempt or grow a $3 million value with a successful producer. So my friends, this is worth paying attention to. But first, let me tell you about the 5 critical things every new producer must master in their first 60 days and why most agencies teach exactly 0 of them. So let's dive in. Hi there, I'm Randy Schwantz and welcome to the Big Nation channel, the home of the triple threat solution, sales training, sales CRM, and sales management platform, all in one integrated system. Picture this. You just hired a new producer. You're excited. They seem sharp, good personality. They crushed it in the interview process. So what happens on day 1? You help them get their insurance license. You then send them to carrier school or sign them up for an online course. And they sit through product training, business auto, general liability, commercial, and workers' comp. Just enough to know it exists. And maybe they get their certificate as a commercial lines coverage specialist. And so you celebrate that. Great, they're trained. And then you hand the phone and you say, all right, start prospecting. Go build relationships. Get opportunities to quote. You got this. And here's the thing nobody ever says out loud. You just set them up to fail because product knowledge is not a sales system. A CLCS certificate doesn't teach someone how to get a prospect on the phone. Carrier training doesn't give them a differentiation strategy. So what does your new producer actually have? Well, in most cases, weak goals. You probably said, hey, do your best, or let's see what you can do. Nothing concrete, nothing really measurable. No sales process beyond make some calls, see if you can get a chance to quote. And then when they do, it turns into a suicide mission. Because 9 times out of 10, whatever they bring to the table, the incumbent agent can and will match if they want to keep the account. Which means your newbie just did everything you taught them to do. They prospected. They got a chance to quote, they filled out the apps, they presented their proposal, and they saved the prospect some money, and then they got crushed. And when that happens a couple of times, they start to look in the mirror and self-doubt creeps in. And they ask themselves, hey, what did I do wrong? But it gets worse. No niche. You gave them the entire ocean to play in. Small businesses, middle market, any industry, any size. Well, good luck on becoming an expert in everything. And then no tech to actually managing their prospecting. Maybe a spreadsheet, maybe nothing. And here's the worst part. They have no idea what to say when they actually get someone on the phone. They stumble through cold calls. They pitch meetings with weak value propositions. Hey, we're local, we care about our clients, we have good carrier partners. Well, so was everyone else. And then when they struggle, when they're not hitting goals, when they seem frustrated and overwhelmed, the phrase I hear most from agency owners? Well, no one had to teach me. If they're the right person, they'll figure it out. Well, that's not training, that's negligence. But here's what really keeps me up at night when I think about agency owners. You're not just losing money, you're losing time. If this person doesn't work out, you just set your growth plans back 12 to 24 months. While you're cycling through producers who didn't figure it out, your better competitors are building a bench of solid producers. But your seat is blocked by someone who's struggling instead of producing. That's not a training problem. That's a business crisis. And it gets worse. So let me show you why. Let me walk you through what most agency onboarding actually looks like. Week 1, new producer shows up, you're excited, they're excited, everyone shakes hands. Week 2, off to carrier training. They learn about BOPs, EPLI, cyber policies, they take notes, they pass some tests. Week 3, they shadow your top producer. They tag along to some appointments, they watch someone else make their magic work, and they think, okay, I can do this. Week 4, they get cut loose. Here's your desk, here's your phone, here's a list of prospects, start making calls. So appointments, build some relationships, get your quotes out there, and see if you can sell some business. So what do you have here? A new producer, unfocused, living in a world of chaos with barely a clue as to what works. So I'm asking you to stop. Think about what actually is happening here. You hired someone to be a salesperson, but you never taught them how to sell. And in this dog-eat-dog world of commercial insurance, where there is always an incumbent agent that represents the same coverage and with the same ability to get competitive pricing, you taught them about products. You showed them what a BOP is. You explained policy structures, but you never gave them a sales process that sets them up to win business, not just get a chance to quote, or a prospecting system that generates consistent appointments rather than waiting for call-ins, or language that differentiates them from every other agent instead of me too. A focused market where they can become the expert instead of a generalist, or concrete goals with weekly accountability, not just do your best. But I know what you're thinking. Hey, look, our top producers figured it out, and so should they. But let me tell you something about your top producers. Your top producers have an innate talent to figure things out. That's why they're at the top. They're scrappy, they're resourceful, they experiment, they fail, they adapt, they eventually find what works. But here's the problem. They don't have a system. They have instincts, they have personality, they have a collection of things that work for them. Ask your top producer to document their sales process and watch what happens. They'll struggle because they don't think in systems. They think in feel. I just build rapport and I'll listen to what they need and I can usually tell if it's gonna be a good fit. Well, that's not trainable and that's not scalable. Being great at selling doesn't make you great at teaching someone else to sell. And look, that's not a criticism of your top producers. That's just reality. You can't replicate instinct. You can't teach, figure it out. You can't transfer talent. But here's the point, and it's a critical point. You can build a system. And so here's what has to change. Instead of hoping your new producers will figure it out, give them a structured system that works regardless of their natural ability. You need to put the pressure on your system to create success, not on their ability to figure it out alone. And let me show you what that actually looks like. Remember those 5 critical things I mentioned at the beginning? The things every new producer needs to master? Well, here they are. And I'm willing to bet your current onboarding process teaches 0 of them. So let's remember what's at stake. $3 million in agency value if you're successful, or $150,000 in direct costs if they fail, and 12 to 24 months of lost momentum while you have to start over. So the solution is what I call the 5-step new producer onboarding system. It's designed to give every new producer, regardless of their natural talent, the foundational elements they need to succeed. So let me show you what this looks like in real life. Step number 1 is goals. In the first week, you sit down with your new producer and you set concrete goals, not fuzzy goals, real numbers. 50 prospecting dials per day, 2 appointments a week, X number of revenue in 90 days. Everyone knows what success looks like. Everyone knows how they're being measured. No ambiguity. And then step 2, a sales process. Teach them your full cycle, not just build rapport and quote, the entire process. How you open conversations, how you conduct needs analysis, how you position your value, how you present solutions, how you close. This is all documented. This is trained. This is practiced. And then step 3, build a niche. You hand them a focused market. Maybe it's restaurants within 20 miles. Maybe it's contractors doing 2 to 10 million in revenue. Maybe it's medical practices. And you don't just give them a list, you give them 200 vetted prospects, pre-researched, qualified, ready to approach. Now they can become the expert. Now they can speak with authority. Now they have a competitive advantage. And then step 4, the 12 money maker wedges. You train them on your specific differentiation strategies, not general fluff, real wedges. We have an in-house risk management team that conducts quarterly safety audits. We provide detailed claims advocacy and negotiate on your behalf. We specialize in contractor businesses and understand wrap-up insurance and builder's risk. Give them 12 compelling reasons prospects should choose you. And make them memorize them. Get them to where they believe in them. And then step 5, bold statement appointment setting. You can teach them exactly what to say when they get someone on the phone. Word for word, the opening statement, the value proposition, the meeting request, how to deal with resistance. They practice this, they role play this. They get comfortable with this before they ever start making real calls. But here's the brutal truth. This only works if you commit to it. And if you say, well, that sounds like a lot of work, and go back to hoping they'll figure it out, you're choosing the $150,000 loss and the 12 to 24 months of wasted time. If you implement this system, you're choosing the path to $3 million in agency value. So stop hoping your new producers figure it out. Give them a system that works. So here's what you need to do this week. Step number 1, stop sending new producers to product training and calling it onboarding. Product knowledge is important, but it's not going to teach them how to win. Step 2, document your sales process. If you don't have one, adopt ours. It's called the wedge, how to stop selling and start winning. Your new producers need a roadmap, not a treasure hunt. And step 3, we'll build your onboarding system around the 5 foundational elements: goals, process, niche, differentiation, and appointment setting language. Make it structured, make it sequential, make it repeatable. The agencies that scale successfully don't do it by hoping their producers figure it out. And below in the notes are links to 2 interviews I did. One with Cynthia Minch, who is building $1 million producers in 5 years or less, and Ben McDonald, who hired and developed from scratch $14 million producers in 8 years. Having a system enabled him to grow his firm from $4 million to $27 million in revenue. They do it by treating onboarding like the $3 million decision it actually is. They build systems, they train deliberately, they measure progress. So stop saying, if they're the right person, they'll figure it out. Implement a system that ensures they succeed. Look, if this is valuable, hit the subscribe button. We're releasing new agency growth strategies every week. And drop a comment. What's the biggest onboarding mistake you've made? Let's learn from each other. I'll see you in the next one.